Hello everyone, this is Ray here, back with another video, and today we will be talking about the discrimination of female gamers in the professional esports industry from the perspective of someone heavily involved in the esports community. So, if you're paying attention at the start of the video, that was a little montage of some of my own favorite female streamers and content creators, each of which has a very large following and ranks very highly in the game they're soon to be playing. But despite their popularity and their clearly impressive ability to outsmart the enemy players, none of these women are on pro teams. And why is that? So that's pretty much the main question I'll be covering in this autoethnography and the main topic of this discussion that we'll be having in today's episode. So, misogyny in video games is a problem that has truly existed for decades at this point. From early on, many games were made to focus on the male gaze, and this has since created a toxic environment for players outside this field. From the over-sexualization of in-game characters to direct threats targeted at female players, many women do not feel safe in some of their favorite spaces, and this has caused many players to separate themselves from certain aspects of the game, such as competitive play and voice chat being the most common. So the gaming group I spend the most time in is the Valorant community. I spend numerous hours on the game every week, at this point probably every day, and follow a professional team called Sentinels, whose matches I always watch every week on the dot, watch the entire thing. And even though I love my team and the mechanics of Valorant, I myself have been a victim to the harsh words of many men, not because of how I play, but because of my gender, and feel this is a topic avoided or not known by many. I hope to bring more awareness to this issue, though, in my community through this video essay and encourage esports and female streamer support. Before we dive directly into the problems surrounding Valorant, though, let's talk about how to play the game, because it's kind of pertinent to the entirety of this video. First off, you need to know that Valorant is an online multiplayer first-person shooter. Lots of words, I know. Think of them one by one, where 2 teams of 5 players go against each other. The players on each team play different agents, which are picked before the start of the game. All you really need to know here is that each agent has a unique set of skills that can be used by the player. And there's 4 types of agents, each of them are better at certain things in the game. So the main objective for each team is to earn 13 points. 1 point is earned by winning 1 round. And a round is won in various different ways, such as planting the spike, which is just a bomb, and protecting it until it detonates when on the attacking side, successfully defusing the spike when on the defending team, killing the entire enemy team, or by forcing the attacking team to run out of time before they can plant the spike. I hope what I'm showing right now kind of helps you understand what I'm talking about, but if not, keep watching the gameplay that I have showing in the background, and hopefully it'll start to make a little bit more sense. So since we'll be talking about the competitive aspect of Valorant, I want to try and explain the rank system as well. So there are 9 ranks in total, with Iron being the lowest and Radiant being the best, and most players are somewhere in the middle around Silver or Gold rating. And when you win a competitive game, you gain RR, which is rank rating, which can help boost you to the different ranks, but similarly, if you lose a game, you lose RR and can move down. Most of the people I'll be talking about are in the Ascendant, Immortal, or Radiant ranks, and then I personally don't play many competitive games, but I would guess I'm somewhere around Gold based on the rank of my teammates in non-competitive games. So now you're probably wondering what the professional scene looks like, because that's kind of part of the main purpose of this video. But pretty much there are 4 regions across the globe, and each of them have 11 teams that are teamed up with Valorant itself. Brazil, the United States, and South Korea currently home some of the biggest teams in the game, but a variety of countries are represented in this division. One of my favorite players is Moroccan, for example. But these teams play in what is known as VCT, Valorant Champions Tour, and are the overall big names for any fan of Valorant. Unfortunately, there's never been a female player, though, that has participated in VCT Champions, nor does it look like there will be soon, because Valorant has many other leagues under Champions, and one of these is called VCT Game Changers. Game Changers is meant to help promote the participation of women in esports by only allowing teams of women and underrepresented genders to participate. And while this has helped improve the popularity of many female players, there's less incentive for these women to consider joining champions teams and increasing representation on the main stage. With a total prize pool of $500,000 and $180,000 going to first place in Game Changers, joining champions just means they're joining a team where they can be replaced by twice as many players, only make a little bit more money, which it's actually double, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not worth it because of the competition. And they are a lot more likely to receive hate rather than love if they replace a beloved player on whatever team they end up joining. So many of these players have received offers from what are called tier 2 teams, but the salary difference there is huge, and there's very little temptation for these female players to take the offer, even if joining a tier 2 team means they're more likely to be recruited by a champions team. So as much as I love the concept of game changers, it really removes the incentive for female players to reach the highest level of the game myself as well as other female players would love to see. To some extent, it feels like Valorant is promoting the division of female and male teams rather than encouraging the creation of mixed gender teams. And as someone who at various points has considered trying to get into ranked gameplay and find a team to play with in low-level tournaments, it's extremely discouraging to see the only future for women in esports is such a confined space. While I can watch men play in literally every other league in VCT, I only can ever see women playing game changers, it feels like. And I feel less confident personally trying to join teams of people that are all men when none of the female content creators I watch have done the same. Now I kind of want to expand on what I mean though by hate. Like, what kind of hate do these female players get when they try and join these men-dominated spaces in the gaming world? So while Valorant's player base is about 30 to 40% women, other games such as League of Legends have even smaller percentages. League of Legends is only about 12% women players, and honestly, one of the most well-known games in terms of having a horribly misogynistic player base. So, Yun Pong's thesis from the University of Glasgow in 2021, titled The Role of Gender in Chinese Esports Culture, covers one of the most concerning and telling stories of misogyny in esports, and it comes from League of Legends, which is why I brought up the game. Pong explains how during a tournament in 2019 called LCL, an all-women's team named Victus joined, and during the first round were immediately mocked by the opposing men's team. Each team is given the opportunity to ban 5 characters before the start of the game, and Team Rocks, their opponent, only ban characters that have essentially no purpose in a high-level event. Pong evaluates this decision as, quote, Rocks banned characters who are not important because they were already so confident that they would win, end quote, against a team of only women. And while this was already disrespectful, things only worsened for Victus during the second round against Team Vega Squadron. In this match, it became clear after a certain point that Vega Squadron had the advantage. But rather than ending the match as they were supposed to, they went out of their way to repeatedly kill the characters played by the women's team to make a mockery of them in a statement against women players as a whole. When both the men's teams received warnings afterwards for their inappropriate behavior towards Victus, as they should, 2 teams that played a game after the statement copied Team Rocks in banning useless characters in an act of supporting and defending the actions of the men's teams. The comments being shown right now are of casual players supporting the actions of Team Vega Squadron as well, and as you can see, judging the women's team for even entering the tournament. Pong's analysis of the situation leads to her conclusion that, quote, this case provides a clear sample of the direct conflicts between professional men players and women players, irrespective of the real capability of the team Victus, end quote. And from my experience, this almost always ends up being the case in competitions when a men's and women's team play against each other. And it's just upsetting to watch. It's unbelievable, really. The misogyny is just can't be explained, it's not acceptable. There's the stigma that women are inherently worse at playing video games than men, and it's undying, despite the repeated attempts from women to insert themselves in professional esports. And Victus vs. Vega Squadron is only one example of many, where men assumed the women's team was worse without even giving them a chance to really prove themselves. But I also have experience with this kind of behavior. I unfortunately do not have a recording of this interaction, but it has stuck with me. And it comes from a game I played a few months ago, where I was ridiculed by a player on my own team for my sex, obviously. So the game began with my team losing round after round, but I was at the top of the leaderboard with the most kills on my team. I tried keeping the energy up by hopping onto comms, as I usually try and do, and just giving a short little hype up speech before the start of the next round. But this made me a target because I spoke and I have a clearly very feminine voice. So one of my teammates hopped on comms himself and instantly called me a whore and told me I was a terrible player and accused me of being the reason we were losing. I tried to continue to keep the energy up, so I just kind of replied with the true statement that you can't win every game. And this may have been a little much, but then I also replied that I thought it was kind of funny that he was blaming me when I had the most kills on the team. But from here, he told me I have no life and that I wasn't going to be up there for long. And after losing another round, he began to target me and use his utility to hurt me. So rather than putting in the effort to try and make a comeback as a team, he would put me in corners so I couldn't move and use the fire abilities that his agent has to kill me and continue to harass me. Unfortunately, my team would not forfeit the game, even though I tried to get them to. So I was stuck playing for another 30 minutes with this guy, constantly making comments about me, even after I stopped speaking to him directly. This was the first time I had ever really been so openly targeted in a game that I can recall so clearly. And it was horrible. It felt so bad. It was a really bad game for me. I think afterwards I just got off because I was just so hurt by this guy's actions and words. Before this, I had received stupid comments about belonging in the kitchen and just casual misogyny masked with like a thin layer of humor. But this game was just truly unbearable because of this guy. I had done absolutely nothing to insult him or made a single comment towards him as a player or a person. But I became the target of his hate for having a feminine voice. And this story is pretty much just to say that while League of Legends example that I just gave is one of the worst examples known by a large community of people, the treatment of those women is similar to the overall experience a lot of women have on video games. And I know that is a very bold claim to make, I know. But there's a research study done by Lindsay Darvin, Ryan Voris, and Tara Mahoney that helps show this point. In the playing experiences of esports participants, an analysis of hostility and treatment discrimination in esports environments by this group of authors, they collected survey results from a large group of gamers to see what groups felt more discriminated and experienced targeted toxicity more. From 366 males and 82 women, the general consensus from the study was that women felt more discriminated against for their gender, but men felt more criticized by others. Despite men agreeing that they felt criticized, though, they did not agree that treatment discrimination was a prevalent problem in video games. This reaction could be for a variety of reasons, but beyond anything, it's important to realize that while women feel that they are treated differently, men don't recognize that difference in treatment. And things get too confusing if I really dive into my thoughts on why there's division here. But I thought it was important to point out that part of the problem probably lies within the fact that men don't realize that they're treating women differently, but women are so heavily affected by this. And like I said, I'm not going to really dive much deeper into this. I just want people to kind of think about this and consider what this really means and how you might think this has affected the discrimination. But I'm about out of time for the session. But I really hope I've been able to make an impact on some of my viewers with this discussion on the treatment of women in the esports environment. This is a community I really care about, but one that's been overlooked for a long time by a lot of the world. Everyone knows what video games are, but not everyone really realizes that some of them are only really safe spaces for men. This video is being made in an effort to make this discrimination more well known and heard about, but I really hope I don't scare away women watching this completely away from gaming. Gaming is still a great stress reliever for just about everyone, and something I still use despite my bad interactions with other players. Because while we need to confront the toxicity still present and active, there's good people out there who will make some matches the best you've ever experienced with their positive outlook and commentary. The bad really sucks, but ultimately we can't let it control our lives. But that's about it I have to say, and I hope everyone has a great day and has learned or enjoyed listening to anything I've had to say. Thank you.